Hey all, and welcome back to another segment of the strongest teams for a said game, where you, the viewer, are the superstar, and I showcase the teams you guys have used. Last time, we did Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and you guys definitely showed off some pretty unique choices. Today, we are in the region of Sinnoh with Pokemon Platinum, one of the best games in the entire franchise. Pokemon Platinum offered a bit more Pokemon to be used that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to use in the original Diamond and Pearl games. If you guys have watched my best monotype team vid series, you guys have a general idea of what I'm talking about. I gotta say, Pokemon Platinum has quite the batch of powerhouses, and you guys demonstrated that with some of these awesome teams I saw on the community post I put out a little while ago. If you want your team to have a chance of being showcased, by the way, be on the lookout for those. Anywho though, let's show off these teams. The first team comes from the user Jordan Butler 8530 with Infernape, Togekiss, Magnezone, Mamoswine, Leafeon, and Mismagius. And yes, Mismagius being a Pokemon Pearl exclusive did not stop them. First off, this team is heat, literally, especially with Infernape. It's backed up by some mons I don't see a lot being used in Platinum, with the most notable being Leafeon. Leafeon is so utterly adorable, and I'm glad it's getting some love here. What stinks about Leafeon is that it's stuck with its only stab move of Razor Leaf until level 71, where it gets Leaf Blade. Still though, base 130 attack with Razor Leaf is still pretty dang good, and you really can't complain with the base 95 speed too. Grass types also don't do the best in Sinnoh, but despite that high attack power will do some good damage. You can also get Leafeon literally right after you get your Eevee, by taking it to the Mossy Rock in Eterna Forest. I love Leafeon. The other mon I love getting attention is Mismagius, which stinks because it is Pokemon Pearl exclusive, which means Jordan traded it over, so not everyone can use it. However, they didn't care as they stated, so more power to you for having access to trades. Mismagius is an underrated choice because I would see players perhaps using Rotom or Gengar depending on if they had trade access. Mismagius has access to a solid move pool, having obviously Stab Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, and Psychic. The Dusk Stone can also be found super early in the game inside the Wayward Cave. The rest of the team members I've talked about many times before, and all of them are pretty dang powerful. Togekiss can be obtained before the post-game with the Shiny Stone in Iron Island. Infernape, duh. Magnezone can be evolved in Mount Coronet. Mamoswine is near the 7th gym, but who cares when you have something for Cynthia's Garchomp? Very powerful, but underrated team. This next team is by this user, whom we'll call Yorick, and they actually went with a specific theme here of not catching mons. So this is essentially a team of gifts. Torterra, Rampardos, Vaporeon, Togekiss, Lucario, and Porygon Z. Pokemon Platinum rarely does give out power for free, because for a team that you didn't have to catch, this is pretty powerful. Torterra's typing is pretty solid, especially its ground type. Rampardos, though slow, is still obtainable pretty early on, and it has a monstrous attack stat. Vaporeon is an amazing water type, having solid bulk and offensive power. Togekiss I've spoken on, and Lucario, arguably one of the best mons in the entire game, is obtainable as an egg from Riley at Iron Island. The one I want to speak more on though is Porygon Z, which is a mon I have never actually used before in any kind of playthrough that I can think of, and I definitely need to if I haven't. There's a random NPC in a house in Veilstone City who just gives you one randomly. From there, you gotta find the upgrade to evolve Porygon to Porygon 2, and then the dubious disc for Porygon Z, and then you have to trade it. So it probably took a bit to get this virtual ducky. Is it worth it? I would say so. It will be a tad late for the game, but it seems really fun to use, especially with the stats and the move pool it has access to. It feels refreshing to see a normal type mon being used that isn't Snorlax. Half the team has pretty common mons, but they're all free to get, and the other part are pretty unique in the fact that you forget you can get them. I honestly forgot that you could get Porygon in Veilstone City, and it's cool to see trade mons being used and the more late game mons too. So sick team, Yorick. The third team is from another user which I don't know how to pronounce, so I will just say Suresh. The team consists of Torterra, Crobat, Gallade, Drapion, Raichu, and Milotic. The theme of this team was having Pokemon that are hard to raise in their base forms, but get really good as they evolve and grow stronger. And this is definitely the team to get, especially the last couple of Mons. The 3 Mons that caught my attention the most are definitely Drapion, Raichu, and Milotic. Drapion has the unique typing of Poison and Dark, and can also be obtained at a pretty alright point in the game. It's got fairly balanced stats, and is an okay physical attacker for someone looking for a mid-game Dark type. Raichu is actually a fun electric type to use, and can be obtained at the Trophy Garden as a Pikachu. The Thunderstone can also be found pretty early at the Solaceon Ruins, so you have a Raichu that has Thunderbolt pretty early on. It feels pretty refreshing to see a Raichu being used in Sinnoh where Luxray exists. Milotic is a really pretty Pokemon, and honestly one of my favorite Mons to use in a playthrough. Milotic is a great bulky water type that I don't see being used often. 1, because of its evolution method, and 2, because Feebas can be a tad difficult to capture. You could just use Gyarados, Vaporeon, or even start off with Empoleon. But going out of your way to get Milotic feels so worth it because of the trial it takes to get it. And I mean, look at it. It's honestly just such a gorgeous looking Pokemon. Just teach it Surf and Ice Beam and you're pretty much set. Awesome team though, dude. I love the Milotic dedication. I need to get more patience to evolve Feebas. The last team is from Out on the Curb again, consisting of Yanmega, Licklicky, Tangrowth, Whiscash, Magmortar, and Electivire. What I love about this team is taking advantage of the new evolutions of past Pokemon Generation 4 introduced for us. Yanmega, though it does lack heavy Bug Stab, it can still run Silverwind. Yanma can be found in the Great Marsh, and can be evolved pretty quickly once it learns Ancient Power. The same method of evolution applies to Tangrowth, and similarly with Licklicky, learning Rollout. Magmortar and Electivire are both trait evolutions, and I love these two, especially Electivire. This team is neat because it demonstrates what makes Pokemon Platinum great. The new evolutions were top notch. There's also the fact they ditched their starter, which isn't something you see happen often. Even with the starter gone, this team is still pretty good. The last Mon is Whiscash, and I think it's nice that Whiscash is getting attention versus the other 2 notable water ground types of Gastrodon and Quagsire. I will say, Whiscash may not have the greatest of stats, but for an in-game run, it doesn't matter all that much. Plus, it does have a decent level up set. This team is pretty unique though, and the usage of Whiscash is refreshing to see. Well, that wraps up this segment of viewer teams for a said Pokemon game. You guys really brought some amazing teams to the table, and I really wish I could have displayed all of them from the community post. I also am realizing now, I forgot about Empoleon. There were some really good ones on there from what I could remember, but these teams just stuck out to me, and I had to pick them, especially the one that didn't feature a starter. What games would you guys like to see next though? Generation 5? Maybe a Hoenn segment? Let me know down in the comments below, and also be sure to share more Platinum teams as well.